Hello, welcome to my kitchen. Is everybody there?
I can't load it now.
Oh, okay. Hannah's having trouble there, folks. So tonight in the kitchen, we're going to work on cream cheese patties, my very favourite rice patties from my childhood. There's a bit of a story to those, and some other budget-friendly meals, because that's the question I was asked most this last week. And Janie Lee asked specifically for meals that would stretch her budget. So we'll come up, I've done my best to come up with them. I've got a couple of other things to show you as well. So diving right in, I'm going to start with the quick rice patties. Now these are on the website and you'll find them in the show notes underneath the link to the recipe. These patties, I loved these patties when I was growing up. They were if Mum made these for tea, I was in heaven. I absolutely adored them. What I didn't know was she made them when money was really tight, when there was no money to buy anything else, and this was all she had. This is what she made for us. And sometimes we just had the patties because she didn't have the money for the vegetables. Sometimes we had veggies with them, sometimes we had salad with them. But they are just brilliant. I love them still, and I made them when disaster struck for us. I made them often because they're quick, they're easy, they're cheap, and they use things that everybody has, or most people have, in their pantry. Now, I've cooked up a cup of rice as per the recipe. And while it's hot, I've added a chopped onion. Now, the secret to these patties and the cream cheese patties with your onion is make it really fine. So I whiz it in the food processor so it's really, really fine, because you don't want it to be any bigger than the grain of rice, or your rissoles and your patties are going to fall apart. So you want everything to be a reasonably uniform size. Whiz it in the food processor, or if you don't have a food processor, grate it on the zester side of your grater. Yes, it will be mushy, but it doesn't matter because it's going to go mushy and stirred into the mixture anyway. So I've done the rice and the onion. Secret ingredient number one, peanut butter. I'm really can't have peanut butter, but we don't have that issue. We have AJ with the peanut intolerance, but he knows to steer clear of them. So 2 big spoons of peanut butter. Now, that's probably more than a tablespoon, but I like it. So there we go. And the recipe sheet on the website will say Marmite, because at the time that's what we were eating. These days it's Vegemite. So a teaspoon, a decent teaspoon of Vegemite into the mixture. And then all you need is an egg to bind it. Now, I'm pretty sure that Mum had chickens when we were eating these, and so the egg didn't add to the cost. Now, I always, because I buy the eggs, always break it into a dish first and give it a bit of a break up, mix it a little bit. But I do that just in case it's a dodgy egg. Dip that in, scrape it in, and then it's just a case of mixing and mixing and mixing and mixing. Oops, splashing it everywhere here.
While you do that, Jodie, Maureen, Julie and Rod, Liana, Priya and Leonie all say hi.
Hi, Maureen, Jodie, Julian, Rod, Priya, Leonie, Liana, yeah. Who did I miss? Someone? No? Got you all? Oh, great. Hi, I'm glad you could be with us. I hope you enjoy these recipes. And I'll tell you when I'm finished here in just a moment how much these cost to make. Now, I've left out the herbs. I've left out the herbs. I've mixed it all up and it's all quite smushed up. Can I just, you see just how smushed up it is? Mum's recipe, which is what I've copied from, said mixed herbs, because in the olden days they were just mixed herbs. These days we're a little more sophisticated and they're called Italian herbs. Mixed herbs, Italian herbs, whatever, a good sprinkle. So at least a teaspoon of herbs into the mixture, and again mix it through just like so. If you can hear a noise in the background, that's the microwave guy cooking the rice for the cream cheese patties. So smush it all up, mix it all up like so, and that's it. They're ready to cook. So I shall heat some oil. And again, I'm using the back burner again. It's just habit from when the kids were little. Just a tiny bit of oil. You don't need too much oil. Just enough to cover the bottom of the pan and brown them. Because everything's cooked with these rissoles, so really all you want to do is brown them off and crisp up the outside. So while that's getting ready to do that, I shall quickly go and wet my hands. Because wet hands are always easier for rissoles. Move my bowl over here. And these aren't crumbed at all, so you just need to make them into patties. And I do them probably palm sized like that. That oil won't be hot yet. I take that plus on a plate, just like that. Now to stretch this recipe, where the recipe says 1 cup of rice and cook it, do 2 cups of rice and cook it. You don't need to double the peanut butter or the egg or the Vegemite or herbs or onion, but just add more rice. And that will...
Could you add like grated carrot and zucchini and stuff? You
could if you wanted to. You can add whatever grated veggies you like to them. But if you're on a really tight budget, this is a really frugal meal. Now, I like them hot, but I love them cold. So they can be eaten all year round. I have to go and wet my hands again, it's sticking. I was going to go and use rubber gloves for this part, but we didn't have any because we don't use them. Excuse me, excuse my back. That should be enough for now. Give them a little flatten. Right, the oil's hot. Here it sizzles. They won't take long to cook, just a couple of minutes on each side. Just enough to form a little bit of a crust. And they're, excuse me, they're done and ready to serve. There you go. Ouch. Move that down there. Finish those off later. Now this mixture makes about 12 of the palm of your hand size rissoles, patties. If you want to make them bigger, you can. But really, if you're on a budget, a really tight budget, and you need to stretch your meals, smaller goes further. And that might sound quite odd. I'm sitting down to turn the gas down. That might sound odd, but you want the illusion of more. So smaller means that you can have 2 or 3 patties on a plate rather than one great big one, if that makes sense. So you're still getting the same amount of food, it just looks more. And often that's all it takes to satisfy a hungry appetite. There. Now, someone asked me about draining, I don't usually use paper towel. A well-washed linen tea towel does just as good a job. Or I use one of my dishcloths, one of my knitted dishcloths, one of the older ones. They don't leave fluff anymore, so they're fine and they absorb the oil really well. Or old-fashioned brown paper bags like Mum and Grandma used to. but we don't have brown paper bags very often, so I don't get to do those.
Okay. Noella, Michelle, Jennifer, Pamela, and Lynn, say hello.
Hello, Noella,
Michelle,
Jennifer, Pamela,
and Lynn.
and Lee.
Lynn.
Okay. Hello. How you all going? Pamela, I hope your foot's feeling better, your toes are feeling better.
She said she's doing the happy dance, so.
Happy dancing on broken toes. That's not very very beneficial, I'm sure. Okay, there they are. Do you want to try one, bub?
Yep.
Let me get your plate. Excuse my fingers, and it's hot, so don't burn yourself. They're really good. They really are. Now, if you have someone in the house with a peanut allergy, I haven't tried them with any of the other nut butters. They might work, or you could, it is good, yeah, they're my favourites. Or you could perhaps use tomato paste. It would change the difference a bit, but it would still be good. But they're really cheap. Now, I worked it out today with today's prices, so let me get my beautiful book. $1.90 for 12, or cook an extra cup of rice, and it will cost you $1.35 for 24.
Did you just say $1.90 though, or $1.19?
$1.90 to make 12 as per the recipe on the website, and the link is in the show notes down there. But if you add another cup of cooked rice, or another cup of rice that's cooked, so it's more than 1 cup, costs about 45 cents. It'll be $1.35 for 24.
Do you mean $2.35?
$2.35. Sorry, glad I've got Hannah handy. So that's a really cheap meal. Now, they're good hot, like I said. They're really nice cold. They make really good burgers. So if you put them into a bun, want me to lift them up so people can see them? There you go. Does that look all right?
Yeah.
Okay, they're really good, and you don't want them too much darker than that. You just want them to form a crust and be a bit golden on the outside. Really nice in buns, so slice them in half through the middle with some lettuce and some tomato and a little bit more peanuts, but a little drizzle of satay sauce if you happen to have it in the fridge. Really nice burgers. They're great. So that's the quick rice patties. Now, the microwave's still going there. Hasn't finished yet. So I'll keep talking. I'll show you. On the website, you will find a recipe for curried pasta and rice. Curried pasta. Yeah.
Curry.
And it is my take on this stuff. Right? Because this stuff is so grossly overpriced. It is so expensive. Now, this packet cost me today at Coles $2.50. Couldn't believe it. Now, I know it is regularly on sale, but that's outrageous. Then the other day, Hannah and I were looking for something else, and we came across this creamy chicken curry. And it was $1.69 at Coles. I think it's $1.68 at Woolworths. So it's around the same price. This is pretty much the sauce for this. This just doesn't have the noodles. You can add noodles to it, and there is a recipe on the back for it, just a plain chicken curry. But years ago, my kids loved them. They just loved the saucy noodles, were divine. To them, they were heaven on a plate. So I had to find a way to be able to afford them, even back then when they were $1.19 and $1.20 a packet. And I went through the back of the packet and I looked at the ingredients, as you can, and took out all the fillers and all the anti-clagging things, or whatever they're called. Took them all out. And it pretty much came down to being powdered milk, curried powder, salt, a little bit of parsley, and a few noodles. And that's what was in the packet. Now that's a 125 gram packet. I think it's 90 grams, so it's even smaller. The packet's even smaller now than what they used to be. So I made my own recipe up, and it is on the website. And I think I've put a link to it in the show notes. If I haven't, I will when we're finished here, because it is so easy to make. But I did the sums again today. So where is it? This is $2.50. Okay. If you make up my recipe off the website, off the Cheapskates Club website, that is, it will cost you roughly $1.40, and it will allow you to make the equivalent of 4 packets of this. So you are saving $8.60 straight up. But for the people that were worried about how much time it takes to make these things and is it worth the cost, if you work it out on an hourly rate, I worked it out to be, where is it? Oh, I've lost it. Over $200 an hour. It takes literally 2 minutes to mix up this sauce. That's all. No time at all. 2 minutes. Anyway, so you're saving a huge amount of money straight off by making it yourself. But if you put it into an hourly rate, it sort of brings it into perspective. We're spending a lot of money on convenience when you don't have to. And I wouldn't mind earning $200 an hour. It was over $200 an hour. It was close to $280 an hour. And I wrote it down, and now I can't find it because I was determined to tell you. Anyway. You have to play it back? Or you want another one? Hannah wants another one. Can you have the one I can't?
Yeah.
There you go. There we go. They must be good. She's eating them. She hasn't had dinner yet. She worked late tonight. Okay, the microwave just went off with the rice for the cream cheese patties, and I want to do them while the rice is hot, so the cream cheese will dissolve. So I'll just mix it up in this dish straight away. This. Now, cream cheese patties. Same deal with the egg. Crack it into a bowl and beat it first. It mixes in better too. But if you have your own eggs, you'll know to do this. Many a cake mix or quiche has been ruined by one bad egg. Okay, that's done. Parsley. I don't have fresh parsley in the garden at the moment, so I'm using dried. The recipe says a grated carrot. I don't have any carrots at the moment, so we're leaving the carrot out, but I do have onion. Very finely chopped, whisked up in my food processor here. Because remember, I want it to be about the same size as the grains of rice, so it all holds together nicely. There we go. This is my trusty food processor. It is 31 years old and still going strong. How's that? It was an engagement present. And we've been married, we were married 30 years on the 29th of January. I have to say, I love these Wiltshire spoons, these silicone spoons. They're like spatulas in a spoon. They're brilliant. And I got those on clearance at Coles, didn't I? Okay, so that's the onion done. Let's stir that in. And then we add the cream cheese. That's pretty much all there is to this too. If you had grated carrot, you could add grated zucchini, you could add grated squash, you could add grated sweet potato, finely shredded silver beet, or spinach, English spinach if you wanted to. So while that's nice and hot, I'm going to take cream cheese. Now, we use the cheapest cream cheese. I think when my auntie was making this and taught me to make it, she used Philadelphia cheese. Well, Philly cheese is just too expensive for us, so we use the cheapest cream cheese. This is the Coles one, $3.30.
Aldi's cheaper, but they don't always have it.
Yeah, Aldi is cheaper, but they don't always have the cream cheese like this. Rice can go back in there. So we just chop that off. Cut through. There we go. And then squeeze the log out. Now, I'm not really a fan of these plastic packets because I think I leave a fair bit behind, so I'm always trying to squeeze it out. But you want it to go in while the rice is hot so it melts through and goes all gooey and delicious. So there we go. Of course, you could always just cube it first, which probably would have been easier, but okay. There's an awful lot left in there that you just want to get out if you can. Now, the same deal, if you want to stretch this recipe, add an extra cup of rice. Cook an extra cup of rice. And get the spoon. Pop that in there like that. Scoop it out. I'm going to make an awful mess. Now these patties are crumbed, and I didn't include the crumbs in the price when I was doing calculations because we don't buy breadcrumbs. We make them from the bread ends. Okay, spoon down, knife through to chop up the cheese. You see what I'm doing? You can't really, can you? I'm just chopping the rice, chopping the cheese into the rice, and as it warms up, it melts, softens and melts. Okay. Now, this would have to be one of the most requested recipes off the Cheapskate Club website. Every time they're on my meal plan, every time they're mentioned on Facebook or in the newsletter, I get requests for the recipe. So, pardon? I could use a spoon now, but I'm about to put the egg in. Okay, so I'll use the fork. Actually, there's an awful lot of egg left in there too. Doing the taste test. Okay, so just stir it in. The egg just binds it together a little. There we go. Now, as soon as you're sure all the cream cheese is melted through and mixed through properly, you can start making them into patties. So I'll put the oil back on. These ones are crumb, but I don't egg wash them, flour them, anything. It's just as they are, straight into the crumbs and then into the oil. And I do it straight away. I don't let them, usually if I'm crumbing something, I crumb them, then put them in the fridge to chill so that the crumbs have time to set. No, that's not quite mixed up properly. But with this recipe, for whatever reason, I don't know, probably because it was the way I was taught to do it, I don't bother. Here we go. Okay, again, wet hands, so excuse my back. Oh, I didn't light the gas, did I? There's still enough oil left in the pan from the other patties, so I don't need to add more. These ones, same deal, about the size of the palm of your hand. Oh, sorry, forgot the crumbs. I knew there was another step. There we go, crumbs. Into the crumbs, just straight like that. Into the crumbs. More while I'm waiting. Just waiting for the oil to heat. And again, they don't take long to brown. Everything's already cooked, so you don't need to cook it as such. You just want to form the nice crisp crumb crust. Okay. Now these cost, they're not quite as budget friendly as the other ones because of the cream cheese. They cost about $4.80 to make 12. If you want to make 24, add an extra cup of rice that's been cooked for an extra 45 cents. So that'll make it $5.25 for 24. Here we go. With the sizzle. Shake it up. Shake it up a bit. I'll just go and rinse off my hands. Sorry, folks. So I can lift them out when I need to. And there we go. Now, you can stretch this recipe by adding extra veggies. As we said, they should have carrot and zucchini in them. I didn't have them today, so we're skipping them. If you don't have them, skip them. It's a forgiving recipe. If you have other veggies that you want to add, by all means, add them. Whatever tastes good to you, and whatever you think your family will enjoy. Now, they keep well in the fridge, covered if you can. They don't last that long in my house. If I put them in the fridge, they disappear overnight because we have fridge fairies. But you can keep them in the fridge covered for up to 5 days. They will freeze and they thaw, and microwave warm them or oven warm them. Now the other thing is with these, if you don't want to fry them, you can put them on a baking sheet that's been sprayed with some cooking spray, give them a squirt of cooking spray and bake them in the oven until the crumbs are crisp and golden. And the same with the quick rice patties. You don't actually have to fry them off if you don't want to. Now I don't do that unless I've got the oven on for something else. Tonight I don't, so frying pan it will be. And they're almost done and looking really good. Okay.
Barb and Karina say hi.
Hello Barb, hello Karina.
And Patricia would like to know if we've ever made them without the egg.
I don't remember ever making them without the egg, but I don't see why you couldn't. And there's heaps of egg substitutes out there if you want to use one. The egg just binds it together. You could use a little, perhaps a little milk or something similar. Just a little it's just to bind them together so they don't fall apart. Okay. Now, what happened to that plate? They're done. There we go. Oh, it's hot. Sorry. I'm wearing an apron tonight. Okay, here they are. Done. Does that look all right?
Yes.
So you're going to try one? Oh, she's going to force herself.
A little bit.
Have a little bit? Okay. And have more for later. So that's my 2 recipes for tonight. They're both really simple. They're both cheap. They're both quick. They're both easy. And apart from the cream cheese, they're both made with stuff that most people have all on hand all the time. So there's no special ingredients needed for them. To stretch, I've explained how you can add extra rice to stretch them. But if you want to stretch other meals, so for instance, rissoles. When I'm making rissoles, I use 500 grams of mince and 2 cups of rolled oats. And I add the rolled oats to the meat and mush it through really, really well. That doubles the bulk of the meat, so I'm get about 15 or 16 decent rissoles out of that, meat rissoles. And it only adds about 30 cents to the cost of the meal rather than having to use a whole kilo of mince. When I'm doing sausage rolls, I use about 500 grams of sausage mince, and 3 mashed potatoes. 3 potatoes that have been steamed and mashed dry, no butter or cream to them, just dry mash them. Add that to the mince, mix it through, and then I always add fresh breadcrumbs to sausage rolls. And fresh breadcrumbs take the greasiness away from the meat, from the sausage rolls too, but again, they bulk it out a bit, so it cuts the cost. So I'm getting twice the amount of sausage rolls for about 40 cents more, 40 to 50 cents more, depending on how much the potatoes cost. It's easy, and if you mix it in really well, nobody knows you've done it. You're still adding your onion, you're still adding the herbs. If you add sauces or whatever, you still do that, but you're bulking it up. Meatloaves, I do either the rolled oats, the mashed potato, or the breadcrumbs in a meatloaf. I think I've mentioned before with pasta sauces, especially if I'm doing a lasagna, I will use baked beans. Whiz the baked beans until they're little tiny nuggets that look like mince, and add those to the pasta sauce. Now, Heather said she tried it and she couldn't taste the baked beans, but she knew they were there, and she couldn't decide whether it was because she knew they were there already or she could actually pick them from the meat. They're not going to be the same as the mince. They're just not going to. But if they're around the same size and it's all mixed in together, it doesn't make that much difference. And it, a tin of baked beans is 79 cents. Half a kilo of mince is $4. It's a bit of a no-brainer to double your pasta sauce. What else can we do? Bulk it out with veggies always. When we're cooking with chicken fillets, I always slice them in half. So a whole chicken fillet, and I slice it that way and get 2 out of 1. Always take the tenderloins off. They become another meal. They're never served as part of the fillet. And for most of our meals, we don't get a whole chicken fillet anyway. They will be cut into strips or diced. And again, smaller dice and smaller strips, same amount of meat, it just looks different and it looks better. So, bigger is better in this day and age, especially when it comes to meals. So it looks more and gives the illusion of more, or you're still serving the same amount. If the chicken fillet is really big, because sometimes, you go to the butcher and they're huge, you think they've come off a turkey, then I will slice it into 3. And when I do that, generally we're having them as schnitzels or parmas or something like that. I'm just going to move this out of the way. Pop down here. Thank you very much. Because I've got crumbs everywhere. So, see questions?
Yes.
Oh, folks, if you wouldn't mind, if you have a question, would you mind putting it all in capitals so we can pick the questions out quickly? Because scrolling through their chat, we see it gets jumbled quite easily sometimes. So if the question's in capitals, Hannah will be able to pick it out like that, and she'll blurt it out to me, and I'll have the answer even faster, hopefully.
Catherine and Priya would love to know what haystacks are.
Haystacks. Oh,
Deconstructed tacos.
According to Hannah, haystacks are deconstructed tacos. Haystacks are pretty much,
Deconstructed tacos.
deconstructed tacos. Corn chips, a base of corn chips or pita chips, if you don't have corn chips.
Or broken taco shells.
Or broken up taco shells, yes. That sort of thing on a plate. And then for us, I use kidney beans and my taco seasoning, my moo taco seasoning, heat it all up, plop that on top of the corn chips, and then top it with shredded lettuce, diced tomato, diced cucumber, a little bit of grated cheese, and a blob of sour cream. And if you're dainty and delicate, you can use a fork to eat it. But if you're roughing it like we do, we have tacos often, haystacks often when we go camping. Use your fingers, use the corn chips as a scoop to scoop it up, and they're delicious. Now, if you have a husband like mine who thinks that if there's no meat in the dish, it's not a meal, then you can add a little bit of ground beef or ground chicken, if you like, whatever you've got Just a little bit though, it doesn't need a lot. And I often will just, because I don't always have the kidney beans, just use baked beans. So a tin of baked beans, 2 teaspoons of moo taco seasoning, warm it up, plop it onto the plates on top of the corn chips, and then top it with the salads. Now this is a really good recipe or a really good meal for stretching the budget, because again, you don't need a lot of the main components. So probably 2 tablespoons of the bean mixture is more than enough on top of the corn chips or the taco chips or whatever you've got, and then load it up with salad. And it's a really frugal meal, but it's a fun meal. It's a great meal for weekends when you don't really feel like cooking. It's tasty, it's easy to do when you're camping, because again, there's not a lot of cooking involved in it. So it's one of those, I've been making haystacks since, goodness only knows. Back in my younger days, I used to cook for school camps and church youth camps, and haystacks was one of our featured meals back then. So try them. There's a few recipes in the recipe file for them. There's one called Cheats Haystacks. Start with that if you're not sure. Try it once and I'm sure you will just love them.
Can you use quick oats instead of rolled oats for the patties?
Why not?
Okay.
Sorry, look, okay. This is a working kitchen, and I'm a working mum, and I cook simple meals, and they have to fit in around our lifestyle. So this isn't MasterChef or My Kitchen Rules. So yes, I'm not a purist when it comes to oats. If you've only got quick oats, just use quick oats. Yeah. Any more questions? No? Flying up there? I can't see tonight, so. Another budget-friendly meal, thinking of rice, Hannah said before, we're going to be eating rice for weeks. Another budget-friendly is fried rice or Spanish rice. Again, the Spanish rice recipe is on the website, and it's delicious. And it's rice with a curried tomato sauce, and it's cheesy and it's good, and you can have it on its own. You can serve it with bread if you want to. You can use it as a side dish to meat, but we generally just have it on its own in a bowl in winter for a Saturday night tea or lunch over the weekend. It's delicious, and it's cheap. It costs about $1.30 to make 6 serves of Spanish rice, and they're big serves. Don't forget, rice swells when it cooks. Hannah's nodding over here. I don't know if she's nodding at me or not.
Yeah.
Yep, she's nodding at me. Okay. What else can we cook that's cheap, Hanny? There is lots. There's enormous ways to stretch your meat, and it's things like remembering portion size. So I've made those rissoles. Here's another one here. It fits in the palm of my hand. So that's the size of the piece of meat you should be eating. Fits in the palm of your hand and is about 180 grams in weight. If you remember that, if you think of that, when you buy those enormous pieces of steak, I cut those into 4 or 5 pieces. That's not 1 or 2 serves of meat. That gets cut into 4 or 5 pieces. And that's not being mean either, because we eat plenty of other things with it. And if it's well cooked, a little well cooked is much nicer than a great big piece that's not well cooked. Trust me. So think of things like that too. So there's 5 of us, and when I'm doing a pasta sauce or a stew or a chow mein or something like that, I only use 500 grams of mince, and I bulk it out with whatever the extra veggies are. So pasta sauce, I might have, if we've got fresh tomatoes in the garden, I'll add fresh tomatoes to it. Or grated carrot, grated zucchini, grated sweet potato. If you grate your sweet potato really fine, it cooks up, it's beautiful. and it adds a nice flavour. It bulks out the meat, halves the cost of the dish, and it's another way you can still have something good without going over budget. It's a bit like roasts. We always get more than one meal out of a roast. And again, sorry, I've got the hiccups again. I'm not being mean, but when I cut the roast, take it out of the oven, let it sit, always let it rest. It cuts so much better if you let it rest for a few minutes. And then I slice it. Now I slice the whole lot in one go, put out our servings. Then I take the next lot, put them in a dish with gravy over the top, freeze it, and that's the next lot of roast dinner. So I don't have to have a whole piece of meat again. Then what's left from the, I call them the chips, the bits on the plate, on the carving tray, or the smaller pieces, slices that haven't been used up yet, they can go into a curry, they can go into a French shepherd's pie, they can go into a stew, they can go into soup, they can go into pies, meat pies. There's so many things you can do with them. And if your roast has a bone, like a leg of lamb or chicken, then you use those bones to make stock. And from that stock, you make soup, you make gravy, you cook your rice, and it gives it a beautiful flavour. You add it to sauces, so it's not wasted. Nothing is wasted. And that means if you've bought a $25 leg of lamb and you've got 4 meals out of it, it's cost you $6.25 a meal. And that brings it down and makes it more affordable, rather than just saying $25 for a leg of lamb. For one meal, I can't afford it. And we can't either. And we don't do it that way. So,
can you freeze both patties?
Maureen, yes, you can freeze them. Do the old supermarket bag cereal bag trick, to layer them so they don't stick together. And yeah, they freeze really well and they thaw nicely. They're really good.
And then Leonie wants to know, is Eat Well Save More going to be reprinted?
Eat Well Save More is currently out of print. It may be reprinted. That is beyond my control. That actually is now up to HarperCollins, because they actually published the book. I wrote it, they published it. So you can get on their website and ask for it. And if enough people do, they will reprint it. And I think they do small print runs. They can do a small print run of about, I think, 100 copies. So the more people that ask for it, the bigger the print run will be, the more inclined they are to actually produce it again. Yeah.
Barb wants to know if we have any cheap chicken breast recipes using basic ingredients.
Oh, Barb, heaps. Do you like Parmas? My Parmas are to die for.
One better.
Hannah's are better, apparently. Or there's a simple chicken curry, if you like that. Sweet, honey soy chicken.
I found an easy lemon chicken recipe.
Lemon chicken, yeah. Hannah's got a great lemon chicken recipe. Or, put me off, and I was just about to say, a really nice chicken risotto, and it's just a little bit of chicken breast. And if you're only cooking for yourself, Barb, probably use half the chicken breast, about 1/4 cup of rice, a little bit of oil. So heat the oil in the pan, add the rice, and stir it up so the rice goes all golden and clear, so it absorbs the oil. Add the chicken. Then you need to add a tin of diced tomatoes, some onion if you've got it, some chopped carrot if you've got that. Put the lid on and let it stir down so the juice in the tomatoes goes into the rice. And then you might need to add a little bit of stock and give it a stir so that the rice absorbs the stock, and keep doing that until the rice is cooked. And by then the chicken's cooked and it's absorbed all those flavours from the tomato and the onion and the carrot and whatever, celery if you've got celery. And it's really tasty. That's really delicious. And you can have that on its own, because it's already got rice in it and lots of veggies, or I like it, sorry, double carbs here, but I like it with mashed potato. Put it on top of mashed potato and let the gravy run through. It's really delicious. That's a good one. Or try a chicken pie, and that's simply for a single chicken pie, it's a little bit of chicken, cooked chicken. So again, probably a quarter of your chicken breast, dice it up, brown it. A little bit of onion or dried onion if you have it. A packet of cream of chicken or cream of mushroom cup of soup. A little bit of water to make it thick. Put that into a ramekin. Put some pastry or a slice of buttered bread or something on top and bake it in the oven. And that's really nice too for an individual pie, single serve pie. Yeah.
This isn't a question, but Aldi have their food savers on sale on Wednesday. Because just Thursday,
Right.
$59.99.
Okay, I love my vacuum sealer, my food saver, and Aldi have them from
Wednesday the 27th.
So from next Wednesday, Aldi have them on sale. Now they go, do they have the bags too, Don?
Yep,
They
$14.99.
go fly out the door. One of the best gifts I've ever been given was my original vacuum sealer. I love it. Wayne gave Hannah the money to go and buy it. She lugged that thing home. She carried it home in her little arms for me for Christmas. I love it. I used it so much that it actually just wore out. I literally wore the thing out. And so then I had another one that I wore out. So now I'm on my third. And don't think they don't last a long time. My vacuum sealers do a lot of work. They get used constantly for all sorts of things. So if you have a freezer and like to freeze foods, you can't go past it. If you like to keep things fresh in the pantry, they're great for that. I find them doing freezer meals, cook in the bag meals, which are perfect when we go camping. Before we go, I will do a big cook up and I will put the meals in the bags, vacuum seal them, freeze them, and then when we need them when we're camping, the whole bag goes into the pot and just boils away to warm up. And that way I don't have to waste water cleaning saucepans when we often have very limited water when we go camping. So they're great for that sort of thing too. Love them. I will say that the only downfall with my Aldi vacuum sealer was it doesn't cut the bags. The original Sunbeam, Hannah's rolling her eyes, the original Sunbeam one I had, and I was spoiled with this, because you put the roll of plastic in, pull it out, and there's a cutter. So you can choose the size of your bag, cut it, seal it, fill it, then vacuum it. And that was almost like a one-step process. It was brilliant. But it still did a really good job. It still sucked all that air out. In fact, we nicknamed it the sucker. We like the sucker. The Aldi bags are brilliant, and they're still $14.99. $14.99 for 2 boxes.
2 boxes.
2 rolls in a box. Okay, $14.99 for 2 rolls of the plastic, which means that you can make the bags as long as you like, as big as you like. So if you've got a lot of food to preserve, do it like that. Now I've even mastered slowly sealing them in sections. So you know how in the deli cabinet you get the meat and it's in those little 2 tubs to a thing sort of thing. I've managed to master it at last, doing that with the vacuum sealer, so I can slide in whatever we've got and then zip it sealed and then just cut one off as we need it. That works really well too. They're also good for if you're hiking, keeping things dry, things that you don't want to get wet but need to take with you, vacuum seal them. Perfect, great way to go. So I love my vacuum sealer. Okay.
Okay, so the the rolls, you get 10 meters for $14.99, and or if you got the bags, you get 40.
Okay, so the rolls are 10 metres. You get 2 5-metre rolls for $14.99, and with the bags, they're a set size. I think there's Aldi bags around the corner, and there's 40 in a box. The bags are perfect for 500 grams of mince, 2 or 3 chicken fillets. Bottom shelf of the black shelves near the end. Just want to know where I kept them now because I keep rearranging things. So they're a really good size for that, or 1 meal of pasta sauce, that sort of thing. You know.
Can you use the Aldi bags in the Sunbeam?
Yes, you can use the Aldi bags in the Sunbeam vacuum sealer, and you can use the Sunbeam bags in the Aldi vacuum sealer. There you go. That's not very good. I'm not getting anything to hold it up against so you can see it. That's not going to work either. Anyway, here you go. That's the Aldi bags. I usually stock up when they're on sale because I go through heaps of them. Now, yes, they do add to the cost of preserving your food, but it means that you can have meat in your freezer for 3 times the length of time. So if something is recommended to be frozen no more than 6 months, you can safely keep it 18 months. If you bring fresh meat home from the butcher and vacuum seal it, and it would normally last 5 days, then you've got 15 to 16 days to keep it and use it. They are just brilliant. And one of the most beneficial kitchen appliances ever invented, I think. They really, really are worth the money. I just am in love with mine. I just love it. Okay. Oh, here you go. Sorry, folks. I just noticed my notes. Back to stretching meals or making meals better. If you're doing a casserole, so it might be a beef casserole or a chicken casserole, you've got your 500 grams or kilo of meat. Always double the quantity of vegetables that the recipe says. So if it says 2 carrots, add 4. If it says 1 onion, add 2. If it says 2 sticks of celery, add 4. Always double the vegetables. Again, it's not going to change the outcome of the casserole. It will still be delicious, but it's stretching it that much more. And remember, you've cut your meat into nice smaller pieces, not big chunks. I was horrified to see on an American cooking show a couple of weeks ago, they were making spaghetti and meatballs, and the meatballs were huge. They were like thinking softballs, the size of bigger than oranges, and they were just huge. So my meatballs, I use a teaspoon to make my meatballs. So I scoop a teaspoon of the mixture out and roll them, and so they're nice. They're probably about the size of a walnut. And again, it's back to that. More is better. It looks better to have more. So I can give Wayne and the boys 7 meatballs on their plate. When we have Mexican meatballs, they can have 7 meatballs.
Maureen made that from the Bearbones grocery too. She loved it.
The Mexican meatballs. I like Mexican meatballs. Oh, I love Mexican meatballs. They're so quick and easy. But when you make them smaller, they're still getting the same. You're using the same quantity of meat, and they're still getting the same quantity. It just looks more, and it's purely psychological. It really is, but it works. And if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. When it comes to when it comes to cooking on a budget and sticking to your grocery budget, if you are really tight, money's really tight, you can't be proud. And you can't be fussy. You do what you have to do. And if that means that you've got to take 3 minutes more to make smaller meatballs and give everyone a few more so that it looks more and keeps them full, that's what you do. If it means that you've got to leave the carrot out of your cream cheese patties because you can't go to the shop and buy a carrot, that's what you've got to do. You do it. It's still the same. It works. You do what you have to do to stick to that budget. Because when you have no money, you have no money. When you are broke, you are broke. And that's not broke like oh my goodness, I couldn't get my nails done last week because we had a big electricity bill. That's not broke. Broke is I can't pay the electricity bill because there is no money in the bank and there is no money coming in. That's broke. So, you know, you need to understand broke and you need to understand tight budgets. Anything else just doesn't work. So there we go. Hannah's winding me up. Have I talked for an hour already? Almost an hour. We're going better than Tuesday night?
Yep.
Cool. No trolls?
Nope.
Cool. Thank you. No trolling tonight. That's really nice to know. I was so upset on Tuesday night. I didn't know what to do about it. Over the weekend, I'm hoping, sorry, I didn't mean to bang that. Over the weekend, I'm hoping to upload some more videos on, I'm going to demonstrate how to make the yogurt because that's raised some questions, and how to make miracle spray, again, that's raised some questions. Pretty simple. You'll look, if you've seen the washing powder video, they'll be about the same length. They're not going to go forever. Really simple, those sorts of things. And then next week on Tuesday, I want to talk to you about no. Just say no. It's I was told by a very wise lady when the children were small, just say no. I was stretched in all directions. I was being pulled here, there, and everywhere. I had people wanting me to do stuff at school and people wanting me to do stuff at church. And I had 3 small children and a husband and a house to look after and a garden to look after and a budget to worry about. And I was overwhelmed. And Mrs. Mack said, just say no. So when they come up to you and say, can you make soup for lunch on Saturday for church? Just say no. Don't say, I'm sorry, no. Just say, I can't because. Just say no. So I really want to translate just saying no to all aspects of our life, but especially the financial one, because that's where it's going to make a huge impact to you. If you feel overwhelmed with spending, if you feel overwhelmed with bills, you're getting snowed under, practice saying no. No. Just say no. So that's going to be Tuesday night, and I'm sure I can waffle for at least an hour about that. And next Thursday, if there's anything you'd particularly like to see us make, let us know. Capital letters, please, uppercase, so that we can pick it out. And don't forget, all the show notes are at the bottom. The links to the recipes on the website are there. And also the link to the ask a question form. If you've got a question, use that. It comes straight to me, so I know that you've asked a question, and I'll do my best to get back to you as quickly as I can. And please remember, we only need, when we started this show tonight, we only needed 263 more subscribers, and we can do our draw. When we get to 1,000 subscribers, we're having an amazing draw of all sorts of brilliant. I'm so excited about it, and I'll be happy to show it all to you when we get to 900 subscribers to keep you all excited too. But remember to like the post. The more you like the videos, the higher up they are in YouTube, the easier they are to find. And if you like them, we know what you want more of too. And subscribe, of course, if you haven't already, because then you'll never miss an alert for an upcoming show. And share. If you think I've got something worth saying, share it as far and wide as you can and spread the cheapskates message, because that's what we like to do. We like to spread the cheapskates message so everyone knows how to live life debt-free, cashed up and laughing. All right. So how are we going now? Done? All right, well, I think I've finished. If there's no more questions. No more questions, Foss? No more questions? All right. Then I shall see you on Tuesday night. So practice saying no over the weekend. Okay. can't find my doobie to turn you off. There we go. Okay, let me know if you try the rice patties over the weekend or the cream cheese patties. Let me know whether you like them or not. I'd love to know that. And I'll see you on Tuesday. Bye.